Hey guys, Rusty here, again, back with another video on the Lord of the Rings set, this time the third video we do. So the way that I decided to do these videos is that I'm gonna be leaving all of the other versions of the legendary characters that we already saw for the last video. Today we're gonna be covering some of the worst legends spoiled so far in my opinion, and then a few other interesting ones, and then we're gonna leave more of the other uncommon and rare legends to the next video. Without further ado, let's start with Landroval, Horizon Witness. Landroval is 4 generic and a white for a 3/4 legendary creature, bird noble with flying, that reads: whenever 2 or more creatures you control attack a player, target attacking creature without flying gains flying until end of turn. This card is just a draft card with a legendary skin. Even if you were to fill your deck with creatures that have attack triggers, I really don't think you should be using this one as your commander. There's definitely better options. What I will be saying about Landroval is how he reminds me of Trusted Pegasus from the War of the Spark set. And the reason to that is that Trusted Pegasus is actually a named character in the story of War of the Spark. It's the Pegasus that was gifted to Gideon so he could use it to fly and attack Bolas. And a lot of people thought that Pegasus was gonna become a legendary creature, but it didn't. So I found it funny that Landroval here is, given the fact that those two are essentially the same thing. But yeah, that's my 2 pieces about this bird. Next up we have Ioreth of the Healing House. Ioreth is 2 generic and a blue for a 1/4 legendary creature human cleric that reads: tap, untap another target permanent, or tap, untap 2 other target legendary creatures. I don't really know what to say about Ioreth since Mitch from the command quarters already did a video about this commander. And yeah, it's pretty much gonna be what he said: find ways to get legendary clones? Clones that bypass the legendary rule? Or just get rid of the legendary rule? But even if you end up doing that, I feel like it's not gonna be worth it, since if people see this legend in the command zone, they're gonna be thinking that you're gonna try to combo off, so they're gonna be on the lookout. I will however mention the new mechanic of the set, the ring bearer thing. It does turn the ring bearer into a legendary. Just food for thought. Moving on. Next up is Grishnákh, Brash Instigator. Grishnákh is a 2 generic and a red for a 1/1 legendary creature goblin soldier that reads: when Grishnákh enters the battlefield, amass orcs 2. When you do, until end of turn, gain control of target non-legendary creature an opponent controls with power less than or equal to the amassed army's power. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. Grishnákh is just a legendary version of Enthralling Victor, and even then I don't think that's a worthy commander. Because if you do play him as your commander, you're gonna be either doing Blink in mono red or making copy tokens of him. But even if you end up doing that, well, there's not a lot of amass in mono red. And given the fact that Grishnákh is army dependent, I don't really think this guy's at all worthy to be put into the command zone. If there is an amass deck out there, I feel like he's in the 99. Moving on, we have Butterbur, Bree, Innkeeper. Butterbur is a 2 generic, a green and a white for a 3/3 legendary human peasant that reads: at the beginning of your end step, if you don't control a food, create a food token. There's nothing to do with this guy. He is literally a draft archetype postcard. What really hurts the most of his design is the fact that he can only make 1 food token. And then if you already have a food token, he doesn't do anything. He's like a, what was this, hill giant status? 4 mana, 3/3. If I don't sound very excited, it's just because what are you gonna do with this guy? The only thing that you're gonna do is probably, I don't know, a deck that's focused on artifacts entering the battlefield, or leaving the battlefield, or sacrificing the food token to something else. Yeah, he's another card that's gonna be in the 99 instead of the command zone. Next up we have the Balrog, Flame of Udûn. The Balrog is 3 generic, a black and a red for a 7/7 legendary avatar demon with trample that reads, when a legendary creature an opponent controls dies, put the Balrog on the bottom of its owner's library. Boy, what a disappointing limited bomb this is. There's no way of using this as your commander since its own ability gets in the way of itself. Since if any other player's commander dies, you have to put the Balrog on the bottom of your library. This is not a May ability. The only place that the Balrog can find a home in is probably in the 99 of a Grenzo Dungeon Warden. Now, we got done with what I consider the worst commanders reveal so far from the set. And we're gonna be moving on more interesting options such as Bill the Pony. Bill is 3 generic and a white for a 1/4 legendary horse that reads, when Bill enters the battlefield, create 2 food tokens. Bill also has an activated ability that reads, sacrifice a food until end of turn, target creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Now, I just find this guy very adorable, but talking about strategy, you're gonna probably want to be blinking him a lot to get more and more food tokens. You're also gonna probably be wanting cards that benefit from having a lot of artifacts or a lot of artifacts entering the battlefield under your control. I also consider efficient, high toughness creatures in the deck. Moving on. Next up we have Prince Imharil the Fair. The Prince is a white and a blue for a 2/2 legendary human noble with whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Now this, I feel like is a very interesting option because he has a low mana value, he's probably gonna be cheap, and a lot of the cards that you're gonna put in the deck are probably cheap as well. Such as all of those instant spells that allow you to draw 2 or more cards at instant speed. Or maybe if you want to have white draw spells, there are some out there, not many, but there are. There is also the fact that you have a lot of tribal support in these colors, not just the support that soldiers got from Brothers War, but even a few sets back, there's a lot of cards that either care about humans or soldiers. You're also probably gonna be wanting token support in the form of enchantments, but yeah, I feel like this deck's not gonna be that super powerful, but really fun to play. That's my thoughts on it. Next up, Rosie Cotton of South Lane. Rosie is a 2 generic and a white for a 1/1 legendary halfling peasant that reads, when Rosie enters the battlefield, create a food token. And then whenever you create a token, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control other than Rosie. Okay, so you're gonna probably want to be filling this deck with a lot of instant speed token creation, since that technically counts as a combat trick now, depending on the amount of tokens that you're making. You're gonna also probably want a lot of trinkets or other permanents on your battlefield that just spill out tokens. I don't know, I just noted down here just Rosie, Samwise Gamgee wife, getting equipped with an Inquisitorial Rosetta, and then attacking and then summoning a Space Marine to help her out, and I just found that adorably hilarious. Besides all the token making, I feel like you're gonna want to put a lot of +1/+1 counter lords in your deck. You know, the basic ones that grant keyword abilities, but also a lot of artifacts or enchantments that help out creatures you control with counters on them. And I'll just talk about the counters part. I feel like I need to mention 2 cards, and they are Herd Baloth and Scurry Oak. Both of these cards were released in Modern Horizons 2. Both create a creature token when a +1/+1 counter is placed on them. So technically speaking, if you're playing in these colors and you have Rosie in the deck, you can technically go infinite. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that before we moved on. Next up, we have Meneldor Swift Savior. Meneldor is a 3 generic and a blue for a 3/3 legendary bird soldier with flying that reads, whenever Meneldor deals combat damage to a player, exile up to 1 target creature you own. then return it to the battlefield under your control. And this is just mono blue Brago. Literally, if you want to know how to build this deck, go into a Brago list, look at all the creatures that you can blink that are in mono blue there. Maybe you put a Cursed Totem in the deck, maybe some double strike effects in the deck. Just that. Not too much to talk about this guy. Maybe he will work, maybe he will be in the 99 of Brago. Moving on. Our next legend and the last of the day, Gothmog Morgul Lieutenant. Gothmog is 3 generic and a black for a 3/3 legendary human soldier that reads, when Gothmog enters the battlefield, amass 1, and then creature tokens you control have Death Touch. Now, there's a lot of easy ways to make a token deck in mono black. I do believe we have a lot of other commanders that just do that already. So at most I would consider instant ways to make tokens. That way they sort of work like removal. Black is also the color of one of the most well-known token creature types, and that is zombies. And thankfully, to those starter commander decks, we have a lot of reprints for mono black zombie tribal, or just cards that will help out mono black zombies. But if you're gonna be making a lot of those tokens, I feel like you're also gonna be wanting cards that make use of those tokens, specifically cards that you have to sacrifice a creature. I also feel like I need to point out how black is a very versatile color in ways about keeping your commander. I will be closing this deck talking about interesting overrun cards that I found in mono black. Maybe these are worthy to put out. That depends if you're trying to play a swarm strategy or just doing aristocrat stuff. But I don't know, I feel like it works, but I don't know if it's gonna be so much more powerful than the other options that were already available. Well, that's all the legends that I wanted to talk about today. I do want to bring another interesting card design today, and that is the saga There and Back Again. There and Back Again is a 3 generic and 2 red for an enchantment saga that reads, first chapter, up to 1 target creature can't block for as long as you control this saga and then the ring tempts you. The second chapter reads, search your library for a mountain card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. And in the third chapter, create Smaug, a legendary 6/6 red dragon creature token with flying, haste, and when Smaug dies, create 14 treasure tokens. This card has a lot of eye-catching text, but the thing that just catched my eye the most was the fact that this is one of the rare instances of a mono red ramp that does not take the land away if it leaves the battlefield. And that's the only reason that I wanted to point out this card. But anyway, that's all that I wanted to say in this video. There are still more legendary creatures. I'm gonna be probably making 2 more videos about this set. My god, there's legends that they already released that are not translated in English. I have no idea what they say, so I have to sit here and wait for the translation. But anyway, if you guys like the video, leave a like down below. And if you guys have ideas or comments about any of the cards shown here, please leave a comment down below to help us out. And yeah, I guess I'll be seeing you guys again on the next video. Bye bye!